Lagos, Nigeria. Just saying the name, it conjures up this image, doesn't it? This like electrifying energy, a commercial heartbeat just pulsing with ambition.
Absolutely. It's vibrant.
And right there, in the middle of all that dynamism, you've got these two visionary CEOs and their digital-only banks, Carbon and Kuda. They've been on this, well, undeniable collision course.
Right.
They're not just fighting over market share. They're really trying to define the future of banking for, what, 200 million people in Nigeria?
It's a huge stage. And it's a fascinating clash because they come from such different places. Carbon, it started as this scrappy lending app, really born out of necessity, a specific problem needed solving. Kuda, though, Kuda arrived looking, well, shiny. The Bank of the Free, built almost from scratch with this big revolutionary idea about how banking should work.
And the stakes are just immense. We're talking millions of users, over $100 million in funding combined. And the prize: owning the future of mobile banking in Africa's biggest economy.
It's massive.
So our mission in this deep dive, it's really to go beyond just the numbers, the balance sheets. We want to get into the backgrounds, the values, the personalities of these leaders. What actually drove them? How did their lives, their choices, set them on these totally different paths to the same goal?
It really is a tale of two very different philosophies in action. You've got Chijioke Dozie at Carbon. He comes from this banking family, right?
Yeah.
And he decided to, zig while others zagged, focusing early on making money, growing sustainably.
Right, the pragmatic approach.
Yeah. And then there's Babs Ogundeyi at Kuda. He's this, audacious entrepreneur betting big on super fast growth, this cool design, and the whole Bank of the Free thing to grab the masses.
Okay, before we really dig into the two contenders, let's set the scene a bit more. Think about Nigeria in the mid-2010s, a huge nation. 180 million people or so, and traditional banking. It meant endless queues, crazy high fees, and for most people, zero chance of getting credit. I mean, can you believe in 2012, fewer than 200,000 Nigerians even had a credit card?
That number, it just says it all, doesn't it? It really shows a banking system that was, fundamentally broken for the average person.
Completely.
Traditional banks, they were all about the elites, the big companies. They just weren't serving everyday folks, especially young people, small businesses. They were left out. It created this huge vacuum just ripe for disruption.
Which really paved the way for a massive shift, right?
Yeah.
Because by around 2016, you had affordable smartphones spreading like wildfire, mobile internet getting better.
Yeah, the tech was catching up.
Exactly. And that tech jump meant you could potentially leapfrog the whole brick-and-mortar bank thing.
Yeah.
Why build branches everywhere when an app could put a bank in literally everyone's pocket?
It was the perfect storm, really. Just like Kenya had M-Pesa, the U.S. had PayPal, Nigerians are absolutely ready for their own digital money revolution.
Wow.
And that's where Chijioke Dozie and Babs Ogundeyi step in. Very different backgrounds, as you said, but they shared this powerful vision: change how Nigerians handle their money.
So who made the first big move? Let's start with Chijioke Dozie and how his background really shaped Carbon. Picture him, Lagos, 2012. Looking at that statistic, 180 million people, 200,000 credit cards.
Start.
He saw a broken system, getting a loan, almost impossible for most. Banks wanted collateral, endless paperwork. It just locked people out, pushed them towards, loan sharks.
And for Chijioke, this wasn't just some business opportunity. It was, personal, almost in his blood. His father, Pascal Dozie, founded Diamond Bank back in 1990.
Right, a big name.
A very big name. And his mission was clear: serve ordinary Nigerians, not just the wealthy. Chijioke literally grew up in an environment where banking was all they knew. That legacy, it gave him this deep understanding, this commitment to making banking work for everyone.
But what's interesting is, despite that background, UK degrees, Harvard MBA, IFC analyst experience, he didn't just want to ride his father's coattails.
No, he wanted his own thing.
Exactly. He wanted to solve a problem his own way, outside that shadow.
Yeah.
So 2012, he teams up with his brother, Ngozi Dozie, another powerhouse, Wharton MBA, ex-JP Morgan.
Right.
And they launch one credit, the idea: consumer loans for salaried Nigerians. Okay, initially it was paper forms, face-to-face stuff.
Seems almost quaint now, doesn't it?
Right. But back then, just focusing on that segment, figuring out the risk, that was revolutionary.
It absolutely was. One credit basically proved you could lend to regular folks responsibly. By 2015, they rebranded to OneFi, started sending agents into marketplaces, reaching even more people. But the real game changer, that was Pay Later, launched in 2016, a mobile app. Apply 204/7, get cash in minutes, no queues, no collateral needed. It was one of the very first truly digital lenders in Africa.
And it just exploded, right? Over 1 million downloads in just 2 years. For so many Nigerians, this is their first formal loan ever. A huge step for financial inclusion.
Totally.
Chijioke often said, "We believe access to credit and quality financial services is a human right."
Yeah.
That really seemed to be the driving force.
Yeah. That conviction, definitely shaped by his father's work and his own experiences, it was the foundation. But, success breeds competition. By 2019, pay later needed to be more than just loans.
People wanted more.
Yeah, savings, bill pay, investments. So April 2019, they rebrand again to Carbon. The name suggesting something essential, versatile, everywhere. The ambition, a full digital bank.
Chijioke put it really well, didn't he? He said, Carbon represents our aspiration to go everywhere with our customers, become an essential part of their lives, and be versatile enough to change or innovate.
Exactly. And they backed it up. Rolled out free credit reports, Visa cards, investment options, even special services for women entrepreneurs. Then in 2020, getting that microfinance banking license, that was huge for trust.
What I find really fascinating, though, is their strategy. Carbon went against the grain, didn't they? They focused on profitability really early on.
That's the contrarian playbook right there. In 2018, 2019, they were actually making profits. And this was after raising only about, $12 million in equity?
Tiny compared to others.
Tiny. As one analyst said, they were charging for value while others burn cash on free services. Chijioke called it learning from 12 years of hard knocks in lending. He knew sustainable economics mattered.
It wasn't just a business choice. It was almost philosophical, a challenge to that whole growth at all costs Silicon Valley mindset, especially in a place like Nigeria.
Absolutely. Understanding the local reality, playing the long game, that can be its own disruption.
And it seemed to work. By 2023, Carbon had over 5 million registered users, disbursed over $120 million in loans.
Yeah.
They even survived 3 Nigerian recessions. That's resilience.
No small feat.
Chijioke still sounds grounded, saying, it's still day one for us. A lot of untapped opportunity. But they did hit bumps, right? Expanding outside Nigeria wasn't easy.
No, he was quite open about that. Kenya, Ghana. He said something like, everybody says go to different countries, but it's really difficult, especially getting regulated everywhere. His whole persona seems calm, analytical, pragmatic, a real operator who learns from mistakes, builds reliability. Carbon built this strong, steady foundation.
Yeah.
But while they were doing that, a rival was making a lot of noise with a very different, much bolder approach, aiming right for the same users.
And that rival was Kuda, led by Babs Ogundeyi. You paint this a picture. Babs in a London cafe, maybe 2017, sketching cootie money.
Yeah.
His vision. A bank in your hand, 0 fees. Open to anyone fast. He's thinking, why should banking cost money? It should be easy.
Yeah.
Fun, even. Will be the bank for everyone, especially the young people nobody else cares about.
And Babs Ogundeyi, he didn't come from that banking world like Chijioke. His path was much more varied. Started as an auditor at PwC.
Okay.
Saw firsthand how Nigerian banks were this preserve of an elite audience, leaving so many out. That stuck with him.
But he didn't just stay in auditing. He did a stint in public service, right?
Yeah.
Special advisor on finance in Oyo State.
Yeah, from 2011 to 2015. He was young, late 20s, I think. Helped raise a massive infrastructure bond, turned around a state microfinance bank, apparently boosted state revenue 5 times over.
Wow. So he proved he could handle big, complex financial problems, and practically.
Definitely. He even co-founded an online car classified site, Motor Trader Nigeria, had a modest exit. So a real mix of experiences. But through all of it, that same problem kept staring him in the face. Banks just weren't working for the masses. He felt there was something fundamentally wrong.
So that led him to start Kuda in 2018 with Musty Mustapha, the tech co-founder.
Exactly. If Chijioke was the banker turned entrepreneur, Babs was the entrepreneur turned banker. A totally fresh perspective.
And Kuda pulled off something amazing early on. They got that central bank microfinance license. Super rare for a digital startup then. What did that actually do for them?
Oh, it was a masterstroke. Huge. It meant they could hold customer deposits directly. They weren't just a layer on top of another bank. Babs himself pointed out, no other digital bank in Nigeria has a microfinance license at that time.
So instant credibility, operational freedom.
Precisely. And their product was built around this bank of the free idea. Open an account in minutes, free debit card, 0 monthly fees. And the big one, free transfers, free bill pay, even free ATM withdrawals using partner banks, within limits, of course.
That's a direct hit on traditional bank fees.
Head-on challenge. Plus, The app itself looked different. Bright, young, easy to use. It felt modern, fun, completely unlike the old banks. A deliberate design choice.
But the big question always comes up. How do you make money giving everything away for free? Sounds almost too good to be true.
It's the key question, isn't it? And Kuda wasn't a charity. Babs was clear on that. He said, we need to monetize in ways that don't significantly impact customers financially.
Okay, so how?
It's clever. They make money on low-interest overdrafts, basically small, short-term loans they started offering. They get interchange fees when people use their cards, and commissions when you buy things like airtime through the app. The plan was, get huge scale with free banking first, then make money subtly around the edges.
Smart. But that kind of scale needs serious cash up front.
Exactly. And Kuda became a VC magnet. Late 2019, $1.6 million pre-seed. Then boom, 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 $10 million seed, $25 million Series A, a massive $55 million Series B by mid-2021.
Wow.
Over $90 million raised in just a couple of years. Valuation around $500 million. One VC apparently said Babs and Musty were ambitious on another level, always about building a Pan-African bank, dreaming of 1 billion people.
That's huge ambition.
Yeah.
And interestingly, tied to a specific group, right? The youth. Why focus so heavily there?
Their data showed the average Kuda user was young, 18 to 25, the exact group the old banks ignored. Babs called it a marathon, not a sprint. We've intentionally targeted the emerging generation, win trust early.
Makes sense.
He knew something like 70% of Africa's population is under 30. His bet was, if Kuda is the best digital bank for them now, then in a few years it just becomes the best bank, full stop, because everything's going digital anyway.
And the growth numbers were crazy. 1.4 million users by mid-2021, hitting 3 million soon after, just explosive.
Totally. They even launched in the UK late 2022, targeting Nigerians abroad with remittance services. The vision kept getting bigger. Pan-African, every African on the planet.
They were looking at Pakistan, Ghana, too, by 2023, though maybe hitting some funding headwinds at that high valuation. Babs comes across as charismatic, visionary.
Yeah, mixes that sort of global finance polish with real Nigerian street smarts. The culture was apparently very move fast, break things, audacious.
But that kind of speed has downsides, too, right? Service glitches, customer complaints sometimes.
Yep.
The pressure to eventually make a profit.
Oh, absolutely. Rapid scaling always brings challenges. So you had Carbon growing steadily, sustainably, and Kuda, this rocket ship, focused on youth. The stage was perfectly set for this showdown, not just for customers, but over the whole idea of how you build a digital bank.
So the Lagos tech scene must have been buzzing. Carbon's steady hand versus Kuda's explosive arrival. How did that clash actually play out in the market?
Oh, it was the talk of the town, definitely. By 2020, you couldn't discuss fintech without comparing Carbon and Kuda. Carbon had respect, you know? Profitable early, understood lending inside out, weathered storms. They were the tortoise, steady and sure.
And Kuda was the hare.
Absolutely, racing ahead. Huge user growth, big funding announcements, flashy marketing. And that zero fees promise, it forced everyone, including Carbon, to react. Chijioke admitted the market got hooked on freebies, but he questioned if it was sustainable. He kept saying Carbon was charging for value, betting it would win long term.
You didn't see them publicly attacking each other, did you?
No, they're professionals. But the different philosophies were obvious. Chijioke might subtly say, we zig while others zag. Free isn't a business model. Value is. And Babs would counter with confidence, if we build the best digital bank now, in a few years, that will be the best bank overall, implying Kuda's innovation would just surpass everyone else.
What's really cool is how the customers won out from this. That young professional in Lagos you mentioned.
Right.
She could grab a quick loan from Carbon for an emergency, then use Kuda for her daily spending without getting hit by fees. A lot of people actually used both apps, didn't they, for different things?
Exactly. It makes you think how many good ideas or small businesses maybe died before because basic credit just wasn't there.
Totally.
Yeah.
But obviously, both Carbon and Kuda wanted the whole customer relationship.
Of course. So Carbon started offering free deposit accounts, free transfers, stepping right onto Kuda's turf. Kuda fought back, rolling out overdrafts, budgeting tools, things Carbon was known for.
A clear convergence.
Yeah. Carbon added savings with good rates. Kuda brought in spending analytics, savings pots. Kuda even partnered for free ATM access, claiming the largest branch network without owning a single branch.
Clever marketing. And Carbon answered that too, right? Using retail agents, those little corner shops, for cash deposits and withdrawals, blending online and offline.
Smart move. So by 2025, if you looked at the scorecard, users were almost neck and neck. Carbon over 5 million, Kuda maybe 4 million, but aiming for 10 million.
But the money side was still totally different.
Completely. Carbon, still under $20 million raised in total. Lean, sustainable. Kuda, close to or over $100 million raised. Huge war chest, but huge pressure from investors too.
And profitability.
Carbon was profitable or close to it, mostly from lending and some fees. Kuda's revenue is climbing maybe $32 million in 2023, reports said, but still losing millions because they were spending so much on growth.
Product-wise, as you said, they were both offering almost everything. Carbon maybe still had the edge on bigger loans because of their history. Kuda had the slicker interface, maybe newer features like remittances.
And Carbon was hinting at things like healthcare insurance, Kuda looking at helping merchants. They were both pushing boundaries.
The personalities of the CEOs really seemed to shape the companies too. Chijioke Dozie, calm, analytical, pragmatic, learning from those hard knocks. Carbon's culture reflected that. Careful growth, understanding the market deeply, reliability, discipline. They built trust quietly.
Whereas Babs Ogundeyi, charismatic, ambitious, that rebel streak, he called it a marathon. But man, they ran like sprinters. He's got that visionary quality, selling this dream of inclusion. Kuda's culture felt younger, faster, move fast, break things, challenge the old guard, dream big Pan-African dreams.
But deep down, they probably agree on the main enemy, right?
Yeah, I think so. The real target for both is still cash, the informal economy. They're both pioneers trying to get millions of people to trust putting their money into an app on their phone. That's a huge mountain to climb, regardless of their differences.
So who's actually winning this fight for Nigeria's digital generation? Is 2025, you're hearing students in Abuja argue about it. One loves Kuda's app, the other swears by Carbon's loans. What's the takeaway?
The takeaway is often, why pick just one? They both beat the old banks hands down. And that's the key insight, isn't it? This generation isn't blindly loyal to one brand. They go where the value is, where the service is best. And this rivalry, this intense competition between Carbon and Kuda, it just made both of them better. And it forced the whole Nigerian banking sector to innovate faster.
Traditional banks had to wake up.
They absolutely had to, launching their own apps, cutting fees, just to stay in the game.
So looking ahead, wrapping up this deep dive, where do Carbon and Kuda stand now?
For Carbon, it feels like the focus is on scaling what works, maybe expanding smartly, perhaps even acquiring companies in other markets. Chijioke, always mindful of regulation, keeps pushing that deeper financial inclusion message, making modern banking accessible to everyone.
And Kuda?
Kuda's got to live up to that huge valuation and Pan-African dream. After the UK launch, you hear whispers about Ghana, Uganda, maybe Côte d'Ivoire. Babs has that tricky job now. Push towards profit, but keep the cool, free vibe that got them here. He still sounds optimistic, though, you know. The pie is huge. Still day one for African fintech. We're just getting started.
It's interesting. That day one idea echoes Chijioke, too. It suggests maybe there's room for both, right? The market's massive. So many people still aren't banked at all.
Exactly. And their legacy is already huge. Chijioke Dozie and Babs Ogundeyi proved world-class fintech can be built in Africa by Africans. It was poignant when Chijioke's father, Pascal Dozie, passed away in April 2025. People noted how his era was ending just as this new one, led by his son and peers like Babs, was completely rewriting the rules for the next generation. Carbon and Kuda, in their own ways, are part of that legacy.
So the big question, who wins? Carbon or Kuda?
It's probably too soon to tell, and maybe it's the wrong question anyway. They're both changing Nigeria's financial world in massive ways. Carbon's story. It's about persistence, knowing your market, growing smart, learning from mistakes, building trust. Kuda's rise. That shows the power of a huge vision, executing aggressively, tapping into a new generation, building a movement.
In the end, you have to say the real winners are the Nigerian people, aren't they?
Without a doubt.
The small business owner getting that loan from Carbon, the student sending money home fee-free with Kuda. These two aren't just competitors. They're dragging the whole system forward, together in a way.
It's fierce, yeah, but it's also making banking better for millions. Banking isn't just for the fancy marble halls anymore. It's being remade by innovators who saw the problems and said, we can do better. And the race definitely continues.
Absolutely.
Now, just a quick note. Like any big business rivalry, we can't know every single detail happening behind closed doors. Our deep dive today is based on news reports, public statements, company records, all aimed at giving you the clearest, most insightful picture possible. We really hope you enjoyed this look into Nigeria's fintech battle. Do check out the show notes if you want to dig into some of the sources and quotes we mentioned. And please join us next time for another deep dive into a high-stakes business rivalry. Until then, keep learning, stay curious.
You've been listening to Empire and Legacy, African Business Chronicles. Our hosts are Zuri Mwangi and Kwame Adeyemi. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, X, Instagram, and YouTube. All links are in the show notes. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform, and share this episode with fellow business leaders. We're back each week sharing more stories about the exciting business rivalries shaping the future of business across Africa. Empire and Legacy is essential listening for business professionals and leaders. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when new episodes are released. Until next time, stay tuned.